Hi, welcome to my session. The title is Designing Virtual Exchange Projects for K12 and College Educators. My name is Yali Zhao. I'm Associate Professor of Social Studies in Multicultural Education in the College of Education and Human Development at Georgia State University. I'm also serving as the mentor of GSU teaching and learning community on virtual exchange. So in this session, I'm going to introduce to you about what is virtual exchange. So the definition of the virtual exchange, what are some benefits, and also what kind of models exist, and also what kind of technology tools we can use for the virtual exchange activities. And also I'm going to share some best practices and some examples. So some activities you can do with your own class, whether it's at college level or K12 schools. So I will show you some step-by-step suggestions. And also I'm going to share a little bit about how you can work with international partners. And also what are some training sessions available after this session. And also finally, what some resources, the different kind of resources I'd like to share with you about how you can make your virtual exchange successful. Okay, so what is virtual exchange? So just looking at this table, as you can see here, people generally they use different terms for the virtual exchange. So some people prefer to use collaborative, online, international learning, or tele-collaboration, or global teams, or online intercultural exchange, right? So anyway, that means a kind of collaboration across the countries, across different cultures. So in this kind of virtual activities, right? So you can engage students in collaboration, and people can communicate between different groups from different countries, and they can interact about their learnings, right? And also there will be a lot of, you can do a lot of meaningful transnational and intercultural experience activities. So we have a lot of online learning already, especially in the past year due to the pandemic. But I want to just clarify. So virtual exchange is not just a technology platform or software. It is not teleconference or simply is distance learning or the virtual mobility. That means students just use online platforms and they kind of take courses at a distant university, or they just form some social groups and chat and do some activities. So it's not exactly virtual exchange. So look at this slide. You can see there are many benefits of virtual exchange. So why it's more important right now to conduct virtual exchange activities, right? As we all know, the world is going through this pandemic right now. So there is, of course, a lot of study abroad programs are canceled, and so people actually kind of feel restrained in so many ways, right? But in general, for students, there are a lot of benefits, right? So it is more affordable. Study abroad program can be very expensive and student cannot afford it, maybe during time, during money, or family issues. So it is really more affordable in terms of cost and money and many other issues. And also a lot of research has proved that virtual exchange provides equity and inclusion for global learning from home. So you could stay at home, you can communicate with people around the world. And also it can help increase global competency and engagement, and also promote digital literacy, which is very much needed in the modern days, of course, right? And also it can foster cultural appreciation and understanding of different cultures and different people in the other parts of the world. And also it's very important. It helps develop professional skills. And also it helps facilitate intercultural collaborations and communications between different ethnic groups, between people from different culture and educational backgrounds. So these are some student comments, student feedbacks who have experienced the virtual exchange programs, right? So in general, you can see students are very thankful about having this opportunity to communicate with students and peers and people who are living in other parts of the world, right? So it feels like the world is really much smaller. And now we can communicate and we can collaborate in many ways with people we have never seen before, but now in certain friendly learning environments, so we can actually communicate and interact with each other and also to learn from each other. So continue, right? So the benefits of virtual exchange for the faculty, for the instructor. It can offer an economic way to bring content and practicing experts, right? So you don't have to fly somebody in. You can actually more easily, right? Invite people, invite guest speakers to join your class, and also to share great information to your class. And also it can help build research and teaching networks at international institutions, and also help us, right, as teachers and faculty. So help us to have more professional development opportunities with people in other parts of the world. And also definitely that's also a kind of high need. We need to globalize our curriculum. So this is really a great way to do that. So there are many models. So here I would just give some ideas. There are a lot of ways, but I kind of want to emphasize you can integrate virtual exchange activities in different courses, right? Embed the virtual exchange into your course. So it could be like two instructors domestically, not domestically, like two instructors, right? Two educators from different cultures. And also try to add an intercultural virtual dimensions to your courses. It can be any subject and can different disciplines. So the students will have like shared learning experiences, right, with activities to promote interaction and collaboration with each other. So you can use single or multiple models to part or the full cost of projects. So look at this picture. It is because serving as the mentor teacher, the mentor of the faculty on virtual exchange, I was helping with quite a few instructors at Georgia State University, right, to collaborate with professors and instructors from the other countries. So this is one of the pictures. So we were chatting, we were making some preparations, we were designing activities before the virtual activities actually were conducted with the students. And we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of meetings. So this is kind of one example how the instructors can get prepared. Some examples here, right? The virtual exchange can be used for like peer review, maybe in writing, in reading books, sharing comments and sharing ideas, perspectives about certain books, about papers, right? And also we can do a lot of collaborative activities. So the students actually from in different learning environments, they can collaborate in doing some fun projects. And also you can use this as a kind of service learning project, right? So the student can design some activities and then they can do their service learning projects back home and also in other parts of the world, and then they share later on. And of course, it's so much easier. You can do a lot of online discussions about some interesting topics. So the students, they can share their experiences and their different perspectives it's a really good way to expand students' mindset. And also students can work together to design a lot of, to have some the project-based learning. So in this, on this slide, you can see there are a lot of possible technology tools or modules you can use for virtual exchange, right? The iCollege is the web system at Georgia State University, and now a lot of people are using Zoom, right? So the Zoom, the EduBlocks, WhatsApp, Skype, and WeChat in China, WebEx, and Edmodo, and Infogram, Flipgrid, and ThinkLink, and VoiceThread, Facebook, Google Meet, GroupMe, and YouTube. There are so many resources now, or technology modules we can take advantage for virtual exchange. Some best practices, right? So there are some activities, right? Always have to think, okay, so how can we make it successful? How we really kind of learn a lot from the virtual exchange activities, right? So some practices, right? So build a strong relationship with partners. So this is really important. And also we need to align activities within our learning objectives. And also we need to develop intercultural communication and cross-cultural skills intentionally, right? So we have to have a purpose. We have to know what we want students to gain from this learning experience. And also definitely we want to include reflection. We want to contextualize and also apply what is learned, right? So students can reflect upon it and also share and learn from each other. And also we need to think about how we can assess students' learning, right? So we can use both formative and assessment tools. And also, I hope it's not just one-time activity, so it's better we can design sustained, structured communications. And we as faculty and teachers can be the facilitator and the moderator while guiding students in a successful learning activities. So some key elements about virtual exchange. So I would suggest and also recommend it by many scholars as well. So make it sustained, right? So make sure you have regular, intensive interactions between the students, and also try to use technology, especially the students know a lot, right? So we can try to use some new media, digital and mobile technologies for the virtual activities, right? So it can be synchronous or asynchronous meetings, right? Through various kind of technology platforms. The people, and also it should be people-to-people interactions, right? So it should be inclusive, right? Everyone is included. And also we should have some meaningful intercultural dialogues and try to bridge differences and distances, and also inspire positive actions, right? Interactions. And also it should be learner-led instead of teacher-led, right? So students will be more motivated if they are the main drivers of knowledge, right? So if they are encouraged to try to find mutual understandings and creating knowledge. So based on their communication and try to learn from each other. I have been doing a lot of virtual exchange activities in my courses over the past 10 years. So I really have a lot of fun, and also I highly recommend the other teachers to do it as well. So I have done a lot of things such as the education and culture topic discussions. I have done this for many semesters, right? So our students engaged in synchronous online discussions. So we'll discuss about different topics in education, in culture, and also in different courses, in my social studies courses, in the perspective classes, and we try to compare different culture and education systems, and also we talk many issues in our virtual activities with students in other countries. And oftentimes my discussion is, I facilitate the discussion, but it's oftentimes a students kind of led discussion, and students ask questions, right? And I will also ask them questions, of course, right? So I used a variety of platforms in my virtual experiences, such as the GSU, iCollege, our web systems, and also I use Flipgrid, the WeChat, Skype, Zoom, EduBlocks. And I often have students, I engage students, right, in sharing all kinds of videos, and also we have a lot of dialogues, the dialogues between American students and international students. And also I have engaged students in discussing in reading and sharing and discussing some case studies through asynchronous online discussion activities, right? And also I have engaged my students in creating some books, the multicultural children's books, right? So kind of created by our students and also students in other countries. So it's really fun. So some guidelines for effective virtual exchange activities, right? So as teachers, we always need to set clear expectations and specific instructions. And that is also my experience, right? So I need to, and also we need to clarify our role as instructor. So normally, as I mentioned earlier, so we should serve as facilitator, right? We should guide students in learning, not control their learning, right? And also we should try to provide timely feedback and track their participation in order to make their learning more smooth and successful. And also we know how well they have been performing and whether they have done the work. And also we need to create some thought-provoking questions. So students really get students to think about it, and also design activities that students really, and both students and instructors care about and are interested in to find out. And also it will be great if we can tie our virtual discussions or activities or projects to the current events and to the course events and also the current events, and limit the number of questions and activities, so both students and faculty are not overwhelmed. And also, it'd be great if we can offer some smaller group activities and discussions. So the students in one group, in the groups, right, they can have more in-depth and more productive and in-depth discussions. And also it will work better if you have a group leader to be in charge, to make sure students on the same page, and also they can do the activities right in time and more productively. And always, of course, we need to set deadlines for posting and discussion, so it's not like put off for quite some time. So expectations and timeline and guiding are very important. So here I'm going to share some of the activities I've been doing, and also, I would also suggest similar activities, right? Or different activities for K-16 teachers and educators to try some. And of course, you're very creative. You can actually do more activities. There are so many recommendations, and also you can find a lot of activities right online. But here are some I find it's very interesting, and I have a lot of fun doing this, right? So I have used the Flipgrid a lot because it's really good for video sharing and also discussion and just different kind of activities you can do with the Flipgrid, right? So these are some examples. I have different projects in my current course, the perspective course. So I have students discuss about contemporary issues in American education. We are collaborating with universities in China. So the pre-service teachers, right? A lot of Chinese teachers, and also here, our American students, right? They were involved in interesting discussions about what are some issues, right? Education issues in US and also in China and also in other countries, right? So we have another project. It's the global and comparative education and culture. So our students are required to read quite a few books, and then they have to do research and try to compare and analyze the readings, and also compare different educational systems and culture represented in the books, and also from their research, from their experience. So here, some examples, right? So our students are reading these books, and they are comparing the different cultures and educational systems, and also many other issues surrounding the books, right? So they have to do the book review, and also they have to read it carefully, and then they have to summarize, and also they compare education and culture in these countries, such as India, Russia, Afghanistan, Nepal, Mexico, China, and also in many countries in Africa. So these are some examples, right? By using the flip rate, students are sharing their perspectives based on the different topics, and they have very interesting discussions. So students can really see how education and culture can be different and similar. And also they raise some issues they never thought about before, and have more in-depth discussions. And also a lot of online discussions. You can have students engaged in a lot of online discussions about their interested topics. So here, I'm using the university web systems, and also I'm using EduBlocks and some other facilities as platforms as well. So these are some dialogues between students in my courses and also students in other countries. And this is the WeChat groups, right? So I have two classes, as you can see here. So WeChat is the mostly commonly used social media platforms, and you can share text, you can share images and videos, and it is very convenient to use. So, so as you can see, I have two classes, and both classes have students in US and also in China. So students are sharing a lot of information, and they are having a lot of fun discussing a lot of topics in terms of social studies education, the 21st centuries, the 21st century skills, and also they also share the best practice in the classroom. And go to the next page. Okay, so you can see this is also the examples, right, of the multilateral communications. So because of the language, right, so mostly we're using the English as the communication language, but also nowadays, right, so people can also use the translation kind of function to help translate some words or some sentences, if not so sure, right? So you can see here the Chinese and also the English. So sometimes because I'm bilingual, so I will help facilitating the discussion sometimes, and sometimes I will clarify some information. But mostly our students are communicating in English. And they have really kind of, they talked a lot of topics, and they really kind of enjoyed having this kind of dialogues about many common issues, like what is the goal of education, and also what are the characteristics of a good teacher, and also what some qualities of good citizens and all that. So we also use the platforms to share our classroom activities, right? So it feels like we're in a kind of smaller world, right? So as you can see here, our students, they were presenting in the classroom, and also on the left side, you can see the international students, right? So we have the different kind of format in the classroom, right? So the different activities, and the students really get to see how we are conducting classroom activities and how we can learn from each other. So teachers also can, by using these different platforms, we can also social media, or not social media, I'm just online resources, we actually can help students do fun activities. So I have engaged my students create children's books, the multicultural children's books, right, in multiple ways, using the different resources. So here are some websites. You can actually have students create books, right, like Student Treasures, and also Storybird and Story Jumper. And also they can also collaborate with maybe students as writers, and also they can collaborate with artists, or maybe some people who are really writing well or doing well in other countries, right? So to make their collaborations more meaningful and more fun. As you can see here, right? So there are a lot of ways, right? They can collaborate in creating the books, right? As I kind of mentioned earlier. I'm going to show you some examples, right? Something you can do in your own classroom as well. So these are some books created by my students and collaborating with students in other countries. So here's in English, right? It's already kind of, they use the website I mentioned earlier. So you can use the illustrations created by some artists already on the website in the system, right? And then they can create their own stories. So based on the pictures or the other ways, right? They can write their stories first and then try to find some pictures, try to align with their storylines. And also they can write bilingual stories, right? So like English, Spanish, and Chinese, or Japanese, right? So this is a kind of collaboration. So this is a book about how the kids are affected by immigration policies. It's a really, I mean, very touching story. So I'm not going to share a lot of books, but this is, there is another way you can use. I commonly use the Edu blocks for students to make their posts. And also we have a lot of fun class discussions about different topics. So here's also something you can do as well. So education blocks is free and it's easy to navigate, and it's easy for students to use, right? So as you can see in the second picture, so you can have a group of students there, I mean, a class of your students there, both your students and international students, and they can have some interesting dialogues, right? And based on the different topics they're interested, or the topics you gave to them. Because the time limitations, so I'm going to, based on my experience and also my experience as instructor myself, I've been doing this for a long time, and also based on recommendations by many other faculty who have been integrating virtual activities in their classrooms. So I would suggest some step-by-step procedures for you when you're conducted virtual exchange activities, right? So always the first one, of course, you need to find international partners. So it's better to find, so for me, I have a lot of people I collaborate in the past for research and for, at a conference and different activities. So we will, because of our kind of trust and long friendship, our collaboration, so we will continue. We feel more comfortable in virtual exchange in this way. And also we can use university, the universities also, and oftentimes they have a lot of partners. They are working with a lot of international universities and also some schools as well. And sometimes a lot of professors are willing to help K12 teachers also to set up some relationships, some international partners. And I will introduce also later on in the reference part, you can also find some websites to how you can find some international partners. So definitely, we'd like to find reliable, trustworthy partners who are dedicated in the virtual exchange, and we can communicate in the language. And also it's better our partners associated with the K12 or the higher education institutions, right? So the communication can be more, you can feel more comfortable in communicating, and also it's more reliable. So of course, right, you need to, before you do the virtual exchange, you need to get permission. We need to get approval from domestic, our institutions, and also international institutions. And also we need to know about our purposes and in which area, what kind of content we want to integrate the virtual exchange activities. And also we want to know whether we want to have our students to participate as volunteers, or we required virtual exchange as part of the course. And also we need to think about the curriculum design. So how we can meet the course overall objectives, right? So how we help students achieve these objectives by doing this kind of virtual exchange activities, right? And also, of course, we need to think about the schedule of the course, right? And also try to make it fit in the course schedule and assignments, the different kind of assignments in the course. And also, it's better we can persuade our international collaborators to introduce virtual exchange in their course for the better student participation, right? We want to keep the balance. So we have roughly a comparable number of students from our end and also from the other countries, right? So students can have more interesting and balanced and more productive dialogues and collaborations. And of course, as instructors, we need to negotiate our projects and discuss our topics and questions that we all feel safe and comfortable, right? So different countries have different systems and maybe different policies and different requirements, right? So it's really good we can talk first, right? And also we need to resort alternative solution for our students if we cannot get on, if some platforms are not accessible for us or for the international students, right? So we need to find alternative solutions so all the students can get on and do the collaborative work. And also some other things we have to think about is the confidentiality, right? So different institutions has different policies, and we always want to make sure to keep protect our students' identifications, right? And some students, maybe they don't want to be identified in discussion. So we have to think about it, right? To make students feel comfortable and feel safe, right? On the different platforms. And in collaboration, we also have to think about the timing, right? So different countries they have different schedule and different course requirements and different academic calendar, right? So we have to think when we can conduct the virtual exchange and how long and how many times we can conduct the virtual exchange activities, right? And also we have to think about the time difference, how much time we have to spend on it, right? For the communication, for the activities. And if it's online discussions, we have to think how many postings and responses we want students to have. And also, we want to be responsive, and always we want to encourage students to participate actively at all times. And as mentioned earlier, we need to track student participation and set deadline dates. And of course, in communication with different international students, we always have to think about their culture and language issues. So what language we use, right? Even though it's English, right? And how we accommodate the other languages and also culture, right? And how we can facilitate in multiple groups and contexts, especially how we get. It will be great if we can speak their language as well. And especially, we need to have some either the instructor or maybe assistants or students who can serve as a kind of interpreter. And of course, we can use technology, right, to translate some information. And also we have to think about the different culture, religious, and race-related issues, right? So keep in mind, we want to keep our dialogues and our learning environment safe and comfortable for everyone. And we always need to clarify any misinformation in time. And also, so we have to be sensitive about some political issues. So as collaborators, so we do have to think ahead of time when we're choosing topics and questions for discussion, right? So it's better we can choose some appropriate topics and discussions that students feel more comfortable to share ideas and thoughts and perspectives, right? And also, we need to, if there is any kind of sensitive issues, and as instructors, right, we do need to think thoughtfully about it and how we can solve it better. Okay, so there are a lot of activities you can do, and from the following website and also the resources, you can actually see we'd like to kind of collaborate with K-16 teachers, especially K-12 teachers. And we have some training sessions and we would welcome you to join us. So we have Atlanta Global Studies Center, organized by Georgia Tech University and also Georgia State University, right? So they have a lot of resources on the website. So regularly they have some workshops and also they have fundings for students and faculty, and also different kind of resources, right? You can take advantage of. And also at our university, we have a virtual exchange initiative, right? If you go to this website, you can see a lot of professors have or are doing exchange activities, right? In different departments and with different subject areas. So you can see a lot of information and resources and workshops as well. And this summer, we're going to have some webinars and also different Zoom meetings, and we will welcome you to join us in the summer in June and July, very likely. And also there are a lot of resources available on YouTube and in different places online. So I would strongly recommend you to get better understanding of what is virtual exchange by looking at by watching these 2 videos. And also in designing virtual activities, we always have to think, okay, now we're the citizens, right? Also, we see students, more and more students are engaged in the virtual online learning. So we need to, as teachers, we do have to think about, so how we can help our students to be more responsible digital citizens, and what are some netiquette we want students have in order to have productive and meaningful and successful virtual exchange experiences, right? So if you go to this website, you can see a lot of great suggestions and ideas shared by the teachers. And also the last website, there is the framework for global and cultural competency, right? Issued by the Department of Education. By going to this website, you can see a lot of the competencies required. And also the skills are very necessary, right, for the students in order to be more successful in their future career, and also be more successful in communicating or collaborating or interacting with people who are different in culture, in language, in many other aspects, right? So these are some more resources I really kind of encourage you to take a look, right? The first one is Stephen's initiative, annotated bibliography. There are a lot of resources and research work that accumulated here. And also you can see the virtual exchange have been proved very successful. It has high impact already, right? Proved by a lot of evidence, by a lot of research, right? You can go to the website and also SUNY Coil Center. So they are kind of like the founding fathers of the virtual exchange, right? So they provide a lot of resources and ideas to virtual exchange for the key to 16 educators. So I would strongly encourage you to take a look. And also the COIL, so they really have a great systems, both the Stephen initiatives and the COIL partner matching. So they have great resources to match partners. So you can take a look. And also Intercultural Learning Hub, it's a great place. And also you can also communicate and find partners as well. Okay, thank you. This is my presentation, and thank you so much for listening my sharing about my experiences and also some ideas that could help you to kind of start your virtual exchange. So I would be very glad to have like further dialogues and to have some communications, and also I can give you more advice maybe. So my contact information is here. So feel free to contact me. I hope you will have also very fun and meaningful virtual experience in your future classes. Thank you.